Welcome back, Defenders. I want to start today's video by thanking you. Thank you for staying informed. Thank you for staying engaged. Thank you for supporting democracy and human rights. But I've got bad news for you, and I'm probably going to have a lot more bad news for you for the rest of this year. I don't see anything for anyone getting better for the rest of this year. And that's a terrible thing for me to say, and that's a terrible thing for you to hear. And the natural human response is to shut down. When you get bad news every day, you don't want to hear it, and you tune out. Partially, this is what the forces of autocracy want, is for ordinary, decent people to stop paying attention. Just let the dictators do whatever they want to do. So if you're still here, you're one of the good ones. Thank you so much. We've got alarming news to get to today, and everything's going to get worse. In the end, I'm still confident in humanity. What's that expression? The arc of history is long, but it bends towards justice. We're going to get these guys. We're going to hold all of them accountable. But we're currently in the fight. We're currently in the struggle, and we're not going to get a fast resolution. This is going to take potentially years more to finally make the killing and make the wars stop. So we have to follow up on the attack on Sumy. Death toll in Russia, April 13th missile strike, has risen to 35. The pictures and videos are online for you to see. It's horrifying. And Russia confirmed they did it, saying that they were targeting a military meeting. 60 top NATO commanders were meeting on Palm Sunday in the city center, and Russia just had to kill them all. That's what the Russians are saying. Russian state TV is saying this is a staged provocation. It's not real. The bodies of the women, the children, and the elderly laying in the streets in Sumy, it's all fake. Ukraine is faking it all. Don't believe your lying eyes. I can't show pictures of violence or dead bodies. I did link all the clips and videos in my previous video. And here's a video showing, this is the Sunday morning broadcast from a church close to the city center. Nobody in this video was harmed, nobody in this video was injured, but the point of impact, the two missiles hitting, was caught on camera. If you want to hear and experience the shaking church, I'll link this video down below. And here are two Christians going to church on Palm Sunday who were murdered by the Russians. This biblical inscription says, "Do not be afraid, I am with you, because I am your God." And these two Ukrainian civilians are now dead. So the United States offers their sympathy to Ukraine after the deadly Sumy attack, but no mention of pressure on Russia. Marco Rubio put out a nice tweet saying he's sorry. He's sorry, but the United States isn't going to do anything about it. So in a silent protest, President Zelensky started retweeting every world leader who showed their support for Ukraine and their condemnation of Russian war crimes. This is President Zelensky saying, "Thank you for your support, thank 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 you for your support." You know which two world leaders are not being quote tweeted by President Zelensky? Donald Trump and J.D. Vance, who refuse to show their support for Ukraine or condemn Russia's war crimes, their atrocities against civilians. Trump did mention Ukraine when he was asked on a plane, and he said it was horrible, saying the Sumy strike was a Russian mistake. I'm not going to play the clip, I'll link it down below, but he said, yeah, he heard about the missile strike on Sumy, and he heard Russia made a mistake. This was not a mistake. A mistake is something like imposing tariffs on penguins. What we saw in Sumy is a deliberate continuation of a genocidal invasion. Our real mistake is not helping Ukraine enough. The appropriate response would be to admit our mistake and stop making it. And Ukraine has questions. Ukrainian officials urged the FBI to probe Trump advisors for Russian propaganda after Trump said Sumy was a mistake. The Russians aren't even saying this. The Russians aren't saying they accidentally killed anyone. They're lying and saying, we killed a bunch of NATO officers that were meeting in Sumy. So why is Trump lying? Why is Trump making it up that Russia didn't mean to do it, it was a mistake somehow? And Trump doesn't know how to process this. He doesn't know how to respond, so he's freaking out. It's Biden's war, not mine. Trump blames Biden and Zelensky for starting this war with Russia. The war between Russia and Ukraine is Biden's war, not mine. I just got here, and for 4 years during my term, had no problem in preventing it from happening. President Zelensky and crooked Joe Biden did an absolute horrible job in allowing this travesty to begin. There's so much misinformation in this. First of all, Russia invaded Ukraine in 2014. President Zelensky was not president in 2014. And every single day that Trump was president in his first term, Russia was bombing Ukraine. Russian forces were occupying Crimea and invading the cities of Donetsk and Luhansk in the Donbass region. Russia was attacking and seizing territory in Ukraine for the entire 4 years that Trump was president. And Trump did nothing about it. He's just lying. So here is the bind that President Zelensky cleverly placed on Trump. Ukraine is ready to buy 10 Patriot Air Defense Systems from the United States for $15 billion. Ukraine is willing to explore multiple formats, include purchasing, licensing, or renting Patriot Air Defense Systems. How can you say no to this? Ukraine is willing to spend $1.5 billion per Patriot battery system. This is money. This is jobs for America. Don't we want to put America first and accept this $15 billion for 10 Patriot Air Defense Systems? And Trump is saying no. You don't start a war against somebody 20 times your size. Trump again blamed Zelensky for the Russian invasion. Trump simultaneously vowed to punish CBS News for broadcasting an interview with Zelensky that didn't match his own narrative. One day spent attacking the non-fawning media. 60 Minutes here in the United States did an hour-long interview with President Zelensky. I'll link it down below if you want to hear it for yourself. But this line, once again, I'm not going to play the clip, I'll put it down below, but this is what Trump says. He, Zelensky, is always looking to purchase missiles. Listen, when you start a war, you got to know you can win a war. You don't start a war against somebody 20 times your size and then hope that people just give you some missiles. Zelensky's not asking for charity. He's not asking for anything free. He is willing to pay $15 billion for 10 Patriot Air Defense Systems to protect his civilian cities, to save the lives of women and children and elderly people. And this quote, you don't start a war and then hope that people give you missiles. U.S. Admiral says North Korea is shipping hundreds of ballistic missiles to Russia. The commander of the U.S. forces in the Pacific told a Senate committee that there is no letup in the weapons and ammunition that Pyongyang has supplied to Moscow since the start of their full-scale invasion. So why is it okay for Russia to start a war they can't win and then hope that people give them missiles? The Iranians and the North Koreans. But when President Zelensky wants to buy Patriot air defense missiles to stop these North Korean missiles from hitting their civilians, that's a bridge too far. That's asking for too much. That is unreasonable, according to Donald Trump. Zelensky is calling on Trump to come to Ukraine before making decisions on talks. Joe Biden did it. Weak, ineffective Joe Biden went to Ukraine in the middle of a war to show his support and understand better what is going on the ground. This is something that Elon Musk has refused J.D. Vance has refused. Donald Trump has refused. And sure, why not? We'll say Steve Witkoff also is refusing to go to Ukraine to see and understand for himself what is actually happening. Here's what Zelensky said in the 60 Minutes interview. When children and adults are being killed by missiles, I do not understand why we cannot agree on additional Patriot systems. If we are fair partners, can't we find an opportunity to protect Ukraine? These are not offensive weapons. These are needed to stop the killing of civilians far from the front lines. So what is Donald Trump and his administration focused on? Officials discussing U.S. Russia hockey matches in St. Petersburg and Washington, D.C. There's rumors of an aluminum deal with the Russians. We're going to explore new Arctic trading routes together. Russia's economy and the U.S. economy are going to be integrated. And to celebrate our newfound economic partnership with the Russians, we're going to have some fun hockey games. That's how stupid all of this is, guys. So U.S. military aid for Ukraine is about to cease. Is Europe ready? And the only reason why Zelensky in Ukraine is still talking to Trump or entertaining his delusions is they're still getting military aid delivered. In the months before leaving office, Joe Biden made a series of decisions to augment Ukraine's stockpiles of vital munitions. Toward the end of 2024, the Department of Defense surged hundreds of thousands of artillery rounds, thousands of rockets, and hundreds of armored vehicles to Ukraine, and he approved an additional $1.25 billion security assistance package, which has enabled the continued flow of U.S. arms ever since December. But this is about to end. What Joe Biden allocated in December and January is about to run out, and everything will be delivered. So why would anyone in Europe or Ukraine continue dealing with the United States when they're only focused about getting closer and normalizing relations with Russia? It's so bad, guys. EU staff is now using burner phones to evade Donald Trump. Okay, so the move from the European Commission, the primary executive arm of the European Union, they're now issuing burner phones to their diplomats because you can't trust the United States. If you're a European government official or a diplomat traveling to America, your phone can be taken from you. It can be cloned. All of your data and information can be stolen. And the United States, I believe, is sharing this intelligence and information with the Russians. They're working with them. They want to be allies against China or something stupid. They don't believe in democracy. They don't believe in human rights. And they view any nation who does. Canada, Japan, the European Union, the UK, they view you as an enemy now. And they're going to be hostile against you. Okay, what about the Russians? What are they saying? And once again, they're just attacking Donald Trump and his stupid supporters every night on Kremlin State TV. They are so brazenly optimistic about themselves and confident that Donald Trump isn't going to do the right thing, they'll just trash talk him and his dumb supporters. And it doesn't change a damn thing. If these clips don't go viral, being retweeted by Joe Rogan and Chris Tucker, nobody in MAGA hears it. So here's what the Russians are saying on Kremlin State TV today. I'm talking about the education system in the United States. Because of this, for a long time, their voters have the kind of memory and the depth of thought equal to a goldfish. When a goldfish in an aquarium swims side to side, it does not remember where it was 4 years ago. I mean their voters. They don't remember. Believe in show up, waving flags. It's funny. When Donald Trump left office in 2021, his approval rating was 30%. Americans were sick of and hated Donald Trump 4 years ago. And then he got voted right back in. So yeah, Margarita Simeon makes a good argument how stupid Americans are, and they have the memory of a goldfish. Now it's pointless to ask the question that I prepared. Can we suppose that Trump has some kind of plan? Does Trump have a plan? Based on your response, it's hard to suppose that he has any sort of plan. I don't think he has any interest in dealing with such boring things as plans. Unworthy of such a big businessman. It's all funny. I think any person following the geopolitical realities of the last 30 years can't seriously say we make any deals with anyone or enter into any agreements. We have the Army, the Navy, and Dmitry Medvedev's Telegram channel, all of it under the command of Vladimir Putin. These are our allies. This is the Russians on Kremlin State TV saying they will never ally themselves with MAGA. They will never ally themselves with Trump. Russia only has Russia's interests first, and screw everyone else. This whole time we've been fighting against the United States, we understood this from the start. Did we strike the United States of America even once? No. And we won't unless it becomes an open war, because we are not insane. Believe me, people in America don't care about this. They absolutely could not care less. How long does it take for a goldfish to swim from side to side? 4 seconds. 4 seconds from now, people in America will forget the word Ukraine. Believe me, I know America. They will completely forget about all of this. Marguerite Simignon got her education in the United States. She speaks fluent English. She is very familiar with the United States and America. And what she's saying is accurate about MAGA. If Russia conquers Ukraine and conservative media stops talking about it, then Trump supporters will forget the word Ukraine even exists relatively quickly, because they're as dumb as goldfish, according to the Russians. So here is the disaster story. If you don't know what's going on in the United States, this is a constitutional crisis. This Maryland father, his name is Kilmar Abrego Garcia, and he came to the United States as an undocumented migrant in 2018. And he fled El Salvador because of gang violence. Gang violence had brutalized members of his family and were threatening to kill him. So he came to the United States to seek asylum, and he was granted protected status. He's been living here in the United States without breaking any laws for 6 years. He's married to an American citizen. His child is an American citizen. And because he has tattoos, he's got like a 5-point star tattoo on his elbow, ICE picked him off the street and then whisked him away to a secret death camp in El Salvador. Some kind of weird new for-profit maximum security prison that the dictator of El Salvador is using in cooperation with Donald Trump. So the dictator of El Salvador, and that's what he calls himself, he has self-identified as the coolest dictator in the world. He showed up dressed like a strip club promoter. And this meeting in the White House was unhinged. For one, you might notice all the gold that Donald Trump has added to absolutely everything. The entire Oval Office now radiates gold. But he was asked. This case concerning this Maryland father, it reached the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court unanimously voted 9-0 that Donald Trump had to return this man. The Trump administration admitted this was an administrative error. He is not a gang member. He didn't break any laws. He had protected status. He was in the United States legally. And the media asked Trump, will you bring this man home? And Trump said, I don't have the power to do that. The reporter then asked the dictator of El Salvador, will you release him? Will you bring him back to the United States? And he said, I don't have the power to do that. This Oval Office meeting was horrifying for numerous reasons, and Donald Trump was caught on a hot mic. The audio is bad. I'll link it down below. The reporters were setting up, but still recording the room. And Donald Trump said to the dictator of El Salvador, they love you. They love what you're doing. I want homegrown criminals next. Yeah, I said homegrowns are next. The homegrowns built. You got to build about 5 more places. That's big. It's not going to be big enough. The secret recording doesn't matter because in a Fox interview the next day, he said the exact same thing. Donald Trump is planning on deporting American citizens to this secret prison in El Salvador that the dictator of El Salvador runs for a profit.
Could we use it for violent criminals, our own violent criminals?
I call them homegrown criminals.
Yes.
I mean, the
homegrowns.
The ones that grew up and something went wrong and they hit people over the head with a baseball bat. We have, and push people into subways just before the train gets there, like you see happening sometimes. We are looking into it and we want to do it. I would love to do that.
When he says homegrown, he's talking about U.S. citizens. If a United States citizen assaults somebody with a baseball bat, then arrest them, put them in jail, have them appear in court. A judge will hear their case, a lawyer will represent them, and then that U.S. citizen goes to a U.S. jail. If a U.S. citizen pushes somebody in front of a train car, once again, arrest them, put them in front of a judge with legal representation, and then put them in a U.S. prison. What is this nonsense about homegrown criminals, U.S. citizens being deported to El Salvador to be disappeared? To be disappeared. If President Trump can wrongly deport a Maryland father to a prison in El Salvador and then defy a 9-0 Supreme Court order to facilitate bringing him home, who's next? This threatens the rights and freedoms of everyone in the United States. Seems like a good day to remind everyone that Auschwitz, a complex of over 40 concentration and extermination camps, was not located in Nazi Germany either. Donald Trump wants to disappear American citizens he doesn't like to a foreign country, and here is why. This is Timothy Schneider. On the White House's theory, if they abduct you, get you on a helicopter, get you to international waters, shoot you in the head and drop your corpse in the ocean, that is legal, because it is the conduct of foreign affairs. Donald Trump is saying he can ignore the Supreme Court who ruled 9-0 to return this man, because this man is no longer on U.S. soil. He's saying that the United States Supreme Court doesn't have jurisdiction in other countries or in international waters. Therefore, if Donald Trump wants to disappear or kill anyone, all he has to do is get them over international waters, and then no court can stop him or rule against him. Very convenient, right? The entire practice of the Holocaust of Jews involves zones of statelessness. It is easier to move people away from the law than it is to remove the law from people. Almost all of the killing that took place in artificially created stateless zones. If we accept the idea that moving a person from one place to another undoes rights and disempowers the judiciary, we are endorsing the basic Nazism practice that enabled the killing of millions. This is how it starts. Donald Trump is trying to normalize this. I can ignore the courts. I can disappear people from their homes. Nobody is entitled to due process. Anyone I view as a terrorist or an enemy of the state, I can disappear to this murder camp in El Salvador. It's not safe to be here. It's not safe for any American citizen or any foreigner to be in America right now. Men in masks will show up at your house and disappear you. You get no due process, no legal representation, no judge will see you, no phone call, nothing. This is a dictatorship. This is terrifying. You know, Donald Trump's not going to come for me this year. He's going to normalize this practice, get people used to it, and MS-13 criminal gangs are the test subject. If Trump can pull this off, then yes, the next group he's going to go after are politicians, journalists, scientists, YouTubers who make fun of him on social media. He's a dictator. He's going to be a mass murderer if we do not stop him today. I'm not messing around here, guys. So what's the good news? And the good news is his approval rating continues to fall every single day. When he left office in 2021, it was at 30%, and I'm confident it's going to be back at 30% probably by next month. He's really doing a bad job with the economy, which helps. So we don't have the presidential approval ratings for this week yet, but they go lower every single day. If you're an American citizen, I am begging you to show up at one of these rallies on Saturday, April 19th. The organization is called 5051. Go to Google, type in 50501, find this page, and sign up to either create an event in your town or go to an event, bring a sign, dress up, bring your friends, fight for your democracy, fight for your civil rights, fight for your life, the lives of your loved ones. The other good news is Russia still has bad news. According to the Financial Times, Putin is running out of money to fund his war in Ukraine. The price of Urals crude oil has dropped below $50 a barrel because Trump is so bad for the global economy. And this is 28% below Russia's budget projection of oil being at basically $70 a barrel. This gap will shrink Moscow's budget by 2.5% this year and cut GDP growth by half a percentage point. That is significant. In addition, since 2020, the liquid portion of Russia's national welfare fund has fallen by 2/3. If used to cover the growing deficit, basically they're going to rob from people's pension funds, it may not last far beyond this year. This is according to Benjamin Higelstock from the KSE Institute. Russia's screwed economically. They're not going to recover from this, even if they sign an aluminum deal with Donald Trump. Russia's birth rate is also the lowest it's been in 200 years, and Russia has no future. If anything gives you comfort, long term, the Russian ethnicity is going to die out by the end of this century. It's demographics. This is the population pyramid for Russia, and when the Soviet Union collapsed in 1991, that's when the population of Russia, ethnic Russians, peaked. And there was a decline in the 90s. It then kind of recovered until 2014 when Putin started unnecessary wars. And they're no longer doing census data in Russia. Putin has announced they're not going to count how many people they have. If the data doesn't exist, it doesn't look bad. But we know, based on emigration, young people leaving Russia, as well as all the young people who have died in this war, you can't recover from this once you get in a downward spiral. And as we can see, Russian women don't really want to have children in Russia either. All Russia fed us are lies. Captured Chinese POWs recall frontline experience. 2 Chinese fighters captured by Ukraine shed light on how they ended up fighting for Moscow and their perception of the invasion. So these are the 2 Chinese citizens who lived. They were in a group of 8, and the other 6 Chinese nationals were killed. Ukraine saved their lives and took them in. And you can't really trust anything they say because I think these Chinese nationals are scared of what their own government is going to do to them if they're returned to China. But here's a quote from this press conference. For the first question, running away is not possible because the moment you join the training camp, every time you go to the bathroom, even in the middle of the night, there will be a soldier following you with a loaded rifle. This is according to Wang, one of the Chinese soldiers. Then, during training, your commander will always keep an eye on you. There is no way you can escape. Plus, Russian sentries are everywhere. You cannot run away. In Rostov, there was once an incident where a foreigner committed suicide in the middle of the night. The actual reason? Specifically, we don't know. These Chinese men joined the Russian military for citizenship, and they're mercenaries. They wanted cash. But once they actually got into the Russian military, they realized it was a mistake. But there's no way out. Once you're in these units, you can't run away, you can't escape. That's what they're claiming, but I'll link the interview down below if you want to hear it for yourself. Good news for Ukraine. Germany signals their willingness to send Taurus cruise missiles as soon as the new chancellor is sworn in, and the German parliament is going to vote to make Merz the new chancellor of Germany on May 6th. He can then approve Taurus cruise missiles. This is nice, but will there be limitations on their use? Is it only in the occupied territories that these can be used, or can they be used on the territory of Russia to stop an invasion of Sumy and Chernihiv? So we'll find out in May, but yes, it would be nice if Germany finally started providing Taurus cruise missiles without restrictions. Thank you, Germany. Lithuania donates $11 million to Ukraine for the production of long-range weapons. Thank you so much to the fantastic people of Lithuania. Ukraine receives 40,000 repurposed rocket engines from Canada's decommissioned arsenal. Thank you so much, Canada. UK transfers almost $1 billion to Ukraine under the G7 loan covered by Russian assets, so Russia's going to repay this loan. Thank you so much, the UK. Final clip I have for you is President Zelensky once again visiting wounded defenders in the hospital. He does this as frequently as he can to shake their hand, thank them, and present them awards for their bravery.
Бажаю здоров'я. Бажаю здоров'я.
От зараз він лікується. Теж було тяжке поранення в нього.
Чи ми можемо чимось допомогти додатково, можете сказати?
Якщо можна, фото на пам'ять.
Може.
Так, це.
Старшого лейтенанта.
Служу народу України.
Дякую за службу.
Служу народу України.
Дякую за службу.
Дякую.
Сидіть, будь ласка.
Добре, дякую.
Бажаю здоров'я. Бажаю здоров'я.
Ми їм не даємо розслаблятися.
По-другому нельзя.
Да, да. Вони ж
Щось не вистачає?
Та ні, все добре. Да?
Все нормально, все хорошо.
Як лікарі?
Добре. Мені подобається все.
Олександра Віталійовича.
Дякую за
Дякую.
службу. Дуже приємно. Дякую за службу.
Служу народу України.
I want to remind everyone that when 4 American service members lost their lives in Lithuania, this was a week ago during a training accident, Donald Trump refused to meet with the family members, he refused to see the bodies returned, and he went golfing instead. This is what a real leader looks like. That's all for this update video. Glory to Ukraine, glory to the heroes. If you found this video informative, give me a thumbs up, best way to support the channel. Comments and questions, let me know down below. I love hearing from you guys. Till the next video, keep defending the truth, keep defending democracy.